The James Show Podcast.
Does an app that alerts you for when there's ICE agents nearby, does that sound legal to you? Here's CNN explaining the ICE Block app.
The Trump administration steps up ICE raids and mass deportations. One tech developer is pushing back with an app designed to track ICE activity in real time. It's called ICE Block, and it's controversial to say the least. Senator Claire Duffy is with us now. How does this work?
All right, let me sum it up for you. You sign up. Other people, just kind of like it's the Waze app for traffic, or if they see a crash or if they see a speed trap or if they see a busted tire in the road, they put it on the app and it alerts everyone in the area. So for this one, if someone sees an ICE agent, they put it on the app and everyone within a 5-mile radius gets a push notice. My next guest is going to talk about the legality of such things. Kate Lincoln Goldfinch. She is a Texas immigration attorney back on the James Show. What are the rules? Where are the boundaries on alerting people when it comes to ICE agents and ICE raids, Kate?
Anything illegal about alerting people of an ICE raid? I mean, the illegality comes in when people obstruct an action or interfere with an action. But just notifying people that an action is taking place doesn't seem problematic or illegal on its face to me.
What if the specific intent of notifying people is to disrupt the aid and help people disrupt the raid and help people escape arrest?
Well, I doubt that could be proven. I mean, my guess is that the intent is so that people could, stay away, be clear of the area. And I mean, I think the counter argument, of course, is that it's when ICE is behaving in the way that they have been, where they're making arrests in plain clothes with face covering and refusing to identify themselves. And there's vigilantes on the street who are also, harassing migrants. I mean, this is an era where ICE is really acting in pretty bad faith. And this is a way that the community is protecting itself. That's my immediate reaction to it. I don't know anything about who the developers are or what the stated reasons for the app are. That's not something I'm knowledgeable about. But just having a system where people can notify each other, that seems fine to me. I mean, I would caution that people take care. I mean, there's so many rumors that fly about ICE raids. And so if somebody just sees police or state trooper, they might claim that it's a raid when it isn't. So you also kind of have to take all of these rumor type situations with a grain of salt.
All right, Kate Lincoln Goldfinch, I could play the rest of that cut from CNN that kind of explains it, and maybe this will clear up the situation a little bit.
Now, how does this work, Claire, and what are the legal implications?
Yeah, John, I talked with Joshua Aaron, who is the longtime tech worker who developed this platform, and he said he really wants it to be an early warning system for people about the location of Immigrations and Customs Enforcement officers. So he says he does not want people interfering with those officers' activity, but he does want people to be able to avoid them altogether if they want. So you open the app, it looks like a map, and users can tap the map to report an ICE sighting in their area.
Okay, so the guy says his specific intent is for people to avoid ICE detention. Does that change anything?
Well, not avoid ICE detention, but avoid ICE raids. So if ICE is in an area just indiscriminately picking people up and someone says, I mean, it's sort of like a radar detector, right? It's like, okay, I don't think I'm going to speed down that road, or I don't think I'm going to go down that road. Obstruction is like, a case where somebody says, oh, no, nothing to see here, and they hide someone in their car, or they put them in the trunk and drive away, and that person is actively being sought out by ICE. Those are two very different things. So no, I mean, this doesn't strike me as illegal on its face whatsoever. And again, I think that these types of things would not be necessary if ICE were behaving as we would expect them to behave as regular law enforcement, under people's constitutional rights. But they've just consistently been violating people's rights and trust. And so this is the consequence of behaving like that as a law enforcement agency. It's natural.
Yeah, for the rest of us, though, we don't see it like that. I don't. Whose rights are being violated? If you're here legally and they have the paperwork to prove that you're here legally, I don't mean like their immigration paperwork, but this definitely sounds like they're interfering with ICE being able to detain people, because that's all ICE does. They don't throw water balloons. They don't deliver pizzas. They go out and detain people in the field. And so, what other reason could you warn people about an ICE agent other than to help them escape detention?
I'll push back on you. They are absolutely 100% detaining people who are in legal status. people who have work permits, people who are in court process, people who are doing everything the right way. I have many, many clients who are in that situation. So no, they're not acting in good faith. And again, they're doing this sort of like plain clothes, off the street, surprise attacks with face coverings on, and then they also refuse to identify themselves. That is highly unusual law enforcement behavior. This is at the same time when immigrants are actually also being attacked by vigilantes who order police vests on Amazon and go around harassing people. I mean, there are a few women who have been sexually assaulted by men dressed up as ICE agents. So one would expect the immigrant community to be distrustful and want to know, if before I cooperate and get down on my hands and knees and put my arms behind my back, like, are you actually a police officer? And this is why we see, in the state of New York, there's proposed legislation to disallow ICE agents from just covering their faces. I mean, they're really acting terribly out there on the streets. It's legitimately bad. And even whether or not you think, that immigrants should be rounded up or not, the way that they are going about this is absolutely horrific, and they are separating families of people who have no criminal histories. I heard of a case this morning, mom, dad, 2 kids, detained. The children were sent to one detention center, the mom was sent to another one, and the dad was sent to a 3rd detention center. Now, what could possibly be the purpose for that? ICE is behaving absolutely terribly, and I think everybody in this country needs to be responding and saying this is not who we are. Regardless of where you fall in the immigration, this is not how we treat human beings.
All right, Kate, you say all this is like shocking and beyond the pale. It sounds absolutely normal to me. If me and Miss Parker and the kids went and robbed a bank, wouldn't we all 3 go to different detention facilities?
They didn't rob a bank. They didn't commit a crime. They're in legal process. These are people who are following the rules and doing it the right way.
Okay, if we were arrested for whatever reason, wouldn't we go to different detention facilities, me, my wife, and my kids?
First of all, you wouldn't be detained. You wouldn't be
so that's
arrested
a yes.
as an entire family. Why would you arrest children?
Thank you, Kate. Kate Lincoln Goldfinch. You can find her at lincolngoldfinch.com, a Texas immigration attorney. I appreciate you coming on the show. Thanks again, Kate. I don't know if you've heard. This is just a terrible story out of Idaho, and it sounded like the plot to just a really shocking, thrilling movie. But what a tough reminder that we have to share oxygen. We have to share a planet with absolute psychopaths. We're learning more about the guy who did it. What is it? Well, someone started a brush fire, and when the firefighters came out to respond to the call, he started squeezing off rounds, and he killed a couple of them. I think it was one of those where it was just one, and there were a couple more that went to the hospital. And then, because also another update, there's actually 6 people that died from the Terrell tractor trailer crash that happened over the weekend. Let's see here. Just one still dead. Yeah. So they have a suspect identified. His name's Wes Rowley, and he looks to be a super young guy. Looks like he's 20 years old. Let's see. Killed 2 firefighters, wounded a 3rd. There you go. And the internet sleuths are already digging into this guy. And I don't know why. Some of these guys are motivated by, politics or religion or some antipathy toward a specific group. But this looks like the guys that are, he's just a nut. He's in like a psychopathic nut, like the guy who shot at Virginia Tech, which for a long time was our biggest mass shooting in American history. Then the Pulse nightclub beat it out, and then the Las Vegas shooting beat that one out. But I went through, and I remember, when was that, 2007 or something? I went and read this guy's manifesto and watched the videos that he had put on a new thing called YouTube back in the day. And he's just a psycho. He didn't have coherent thoughts. He was unreasonably angry for irrational reasons. And you just I forget too, that about 2% of us are born with the capability of doing this. Do you realize that? Now, most people that are born with a psychopathic capacity, that doesn't mean that you're going to grow up to be a psychopath. You have to have that capacity plus the added bit of abuse or trauma in childhood, and boom, you are capable of killing people for the slightest of provocations. Carmelo Anthony. But in this one, I'm starting to dig into this guy, and I already feel like stopping. There's no rhyme or reason. This isn't for 72 versions and the glory of Allah. This isn't because he feels some sort of political fire in his belly. Seems like he's just one of these demons, just an absolute demon. That this is the thing you try not to think about because it can ruin your day every day. You mean to tell me about 2% of the population is capable of something like this? And this is even further than your regular old sociopath, you know, like your boss at work or the CEO of a company, very likely to be a sociopath. This is psychopath. This isn't someone who is indifferent to the suffering of fellow human beings. This is a person who actively seeks out inflicting pain. They don't like this world, and they just assume, light a match, and watch it all burn down. But if they're going to burn the world down, if, you know, they're going to give up this life, they want to go out with a little bit of a bang. And the scary part is you can't do anything about these crazy psychopaths until they already do something that warrants putting them in jail. We can't do a Minority Report. We can't run like the 23andMe. So let's see. He has the genetics of a psychopath. All right. Handcuffs. You're going to go into jail for the rest of your life. No one trusts the government with that power. No one trusts anybody with that power. So what do? We just have to put up with him and understand that no matter what we do, even if we arrange society perfectly, even if we have 100% in wedlock births and everyone's raised by their biological parents and no one misses a meal and no one's abused and no one has any problems and no one even hits yellow lights, it's just green lights. There's still going to be 2% of the population that's capable of this. And so I'm not saying this to, you know, scare you or make you worried about walking down the street at night. Just tough reminder. We live in a fallen world, and even if we do everything right, you think those 2 firefighters that died over the weekend because of this guy, you think they deserve that? You think that they were waking up today thinking, well, I hope I have all my estate planning documents in order. Yeah, just wrapped up my will, and, you know, I got a residential trust and some life insurance for my wife and kids, make sure they're okay. Now I'm going to go out and face the psychopaths. Nope. Had no idea. But this is why we hold firefighters, policemen, and first responders in such high regard. How many times are they on the front lines of these psychopaths? And I'm not saying that as pejorative. I'm saying that as a literal technical term. Psychopaths. So if you have a job where you're never getting shot at like I do, how about we just be a little bit more appreciative today? And remember, a lot of us aren't so lucky. They have jobs that they die for. All right, thank you. You're listening to Dead or Alive, the James Show game show where I'm going to list 10 celebrities, and you have to tell me if they're dead or alive. James, that sounds easy. It is easy. Today we're playing for a couple of tickets to the I Want My 80s tour, featuring Rick Springfield, who started in the 70s, by the way, with special guests John Waite, Wang Chung, Paul Young. It's happening at Music Hall at Fair Park, July 20th. Get tickets and information at livenation.com. And look, the I Want My 80s tour, notice how they didn't put it at the outdoor pavilion? They have it at the Music Hall at Fair Park where it's nice and air conditioned. Huh? July 20th. The people who were going to see 80s bands want air conditioning. They got that one right. Don't bother calling in. It's totally full. We're going to start with Christina in Louisville. Well, hello, Christina. You're my first contestant on Dead or Alive. You ready?
I am ready.
All right. Today's category is box office stars from 1979. The top 10 most bankable box office stars from when I was 2. Ready?
Okay.
All right. Burt Reynolds, dead or alive?
Dead.
Clint Eastwood, dead or alive?
Alive.
Jane Fonda, dead or alive?
Alive.
Woody Allen. Is Woody Allen...
Alive.
Well, didn't even get to finish the question there. Christina's all over it. Barbara Streisand, dead or alive?
Alive.
Sylvester Stallone, dead or alive?
Alive.
Roger Moore, dead or alive?
Oh, Roger Moore. 50-50 chance.
Right?
Dead.
You said dead?
Yes.
Well, you guessed correctly, you lucky dog. Mel Brooks, dead or alive?
Dead.
No, in fact, he just turned 99 years old. You were doing so good, Christina. You pretty much cleared the board for John in Dallas. Hey, John in Dallas, you only have to answer 2 more on Dead or Alive and you win the tickets. You ready?
Oh, yes, sir.
All right, well, don't screw it up. No, number 9 on the list. John Travolta, dead or alive?
Alive.
And Mark Hamill, dead or alive?
Alive.
Oh, well, that was...
Alive.
Hey, You get the tickets, but Christina did most of the work for you, John. You're just the guy who just smartly waited for your turn and knocked it out of the park when you had it. Good job, John. Are you able to go on July 20th? You going to claim the tickets, or can I give them to someone else?
Oh, yeah. I love John Waite.
Oh, well, fantastic. Well, then I think we have a match made in heaven. We have a love connection here. All right, John in Dallas, I'm putting you on hold. Don't hang up. Garrett will get you information. Email you the tickets. That has been today's edition of Dead or Alive. Anyone else enjoying the back and forth with the new Democrat nominee for mayor of New York City, this Zoltan Mondani guy or whatever his name? I don't know. New York City! No, I know his name, Mom Danny. But Zoran is a socialist that he'll admit, but Donald Trump says he's more than that. He's a communist as well, which is just okay.
What did you make of the New York Democrat primary? I'm Donnie.
He's a communist. I think it's very bad for New York. I don't know that he's going to get in. It's inconceivable that but he's a communist, and he's a pure communist. I think he admits it.
And within hours, he was asked about that. Now, he'll say he's a Democrat socialist, but he was asked specifically about the Trump comments, calling him a communist on Meet the Press yesterday. How do you like this answer? You buying this?
Well, let me ask you about what Donald Trump, the president of the United States, has had to say. He's had a lot to say about your campaign. He called you a communist. Because he's the president, I want to give you a chance to respond directly to him. How do you respond? Are you a communist?
No, I am not. And I have already had to start to get used to the fact that the president will talk about how I look, how I sound, where I'm from, who I am, ultimately because he wants to distract from what I'm fighting for. And I'm fighting for the very working people that he ran a campaign to empower that he has since then betrayed.
Boy, what a sick response that is. No, he did not go after your nationality, your ethnicity, your appearance, how you talk, or where you're from, or you as a person. He specifically criticized your ideology. And don't act like this is some sort of affront, like, oh, it's just discrimination and it's an old white racist guy. No. Even Martin Luther King, you're supposed to be judged by the content of your character, by your politics, by your policies, by your actual what you think, not who you are. And that's what he was criticizing, and you damn well know it. So what does that mean? If this dude wins, and he might not win, because Eric Adams is running as an independent, so maybe this guy won't win. But if he does, we're going to get a lot of good segments and sound bites out of this guy for the next 4 years or so. Get ready to get used to the name Mom Danny if he wins. All right, that's going to do it for the James Show today. After the show, I'm going to go put up the podcast. You can find it wherever you already listen to podcasts, but I prefer you go to the WBAP app or WBAP.com. Coming up next, the great one, Mark Levin. I'm James Parker. This has been The James Show, News Talk 820 and 93.3 FM, WBAP.
The James Show Podcast.